So welcome, welcome. This is crazy. So I don't know. This is live. So I was actually rambling on mute for that last 2 minutes. But anyways, we back in it. This is Craig Moore here, founder of Black Excellence Incorporated. Excited to be able to bring to you all Ascend. Ascend is our professional development program that we have created specifically to create a space for Black professionals and Black founders throughout Kansas City and hopefully across the nation. The entire goal today is for you to learn more about our organization, learn from one of our facilitators about the experience who will lead us in a little bit of a fireside chat with two of our alumni. One alumni who we're excited to hear from, who has joined us in our very, very early cohort, another who had just finished our most recent cohort. So just excited to kind of give you all just a wealth of information, just to let you know how to support this community, and also for those professionals and those founders to get involved. This is a community that we're not just trying to teach you new tools and tricks, but we're trying to give you a space to be able to strategically come together and actually build something strong for our community. And so, just to kind of give you a little bit for those who are not truly familiar with Black Excellence, we started off in 2020, growing as a membership community with the ultimate goal of just connecting the many different silos across Kansas City. And what we found over those years is that our community truly needed to better understand what it meant to generate wealth, how to get better connected to true mentors that's going to help them open up doors, how to get the right professional development, not just for themselves, but for them to be able to lead the communities to come. And then also career security for them to identify the entrepreneurial opportunities in Kansas City, not only the opportunity that not only the entrepreneurial opportunities in Kansas City, but the opportunities for you to grow within those businesses that have grown across the globe right here in Kansas City as well. And so what we have done, oh, excuse me. And so, what we have done with that group over the last 4 years, actually 5 years, is just done many different events, whether that's panel conversations. We've actually featured Black-owned businesses on Representation Matters with KCTV5 once a week over the last 5 years. And we have been able to really assess them. And really, what we wanted to do is come up with a curriculum that's going to make sure that we're able to support our Black professionals right where they're needed to right where they're needed, right with what they need. Excuse me. Excuse me. Mm. And so Black Excellence aims to utilize this tool to be able to grow the leadership within our communities, those who have been disproportionate and those who are thriving, so that we can ensure that we can retain the talent and truly make sure that we are growing Kansas City in an equitable way. And so, what we have done over the last three cohorts is that we have partnered with Evergy, uh, Heartland Black Chamber, and Reach Healthcare Foundation to connect with 30 participants to take them through this 10 session program that allow them to open up to not just who they are in the professional realm, but who they are in their community. And so, without further ado, I want to bring up our lead facilitator, Don Carter, who is going to welcome in our participants and alumni.
There I am. What's up, Craig?
What's going on, Don?
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be able to share this stuff and have a couple of our alumni from a couple of the previous cohorts here with us today. Before we do that, appreciate the introduction for all that BX is doing in Kansas City. But I wanted to also highlight that when it comes to professional development for Black people, Black professionals, Black founders, creatives, one of the biggest things that we've seen is missing is some of the depth of authenticity that's required of the Black experience. And so what we intend to bring whoever is getting to see this today is a little taste of what the Ascend cohort, the Ascend program experience is like. And the way we're going to do that is through talking to a couple of the former participants. And so we're going to have a good conversation. But when it comes to Black professional development, nobody's really doing this, at least not in our vicinity. And so what we aim to do is draw in some of the people who are really thirsty for a genuine, authentic, dare I say, Black experience where they can allow themselves to be fully present, allow themselves to be fully expressed, to where they don't have to feel like they're staying in survival mode and they don't have to stay in isolation to feel like they're safe. And so we're a family at the end of the day when it comes down to it. And I appreciate your leadership, Craig, in helping get this launched and founding Black excellence in Kansas City first. And as we continue to look at how to expand it throughout the rest of the country. And so let's bring up our participants. Isaiah Watry is the first one. And Veronica Hamilton is the second. And as soon as they get up here, we're just going to have a really genuine conversation about what the experience has been like, what they expected when they came in versus what they experienced, and then what they're really the benefits that they've enjoyed or endured some of that since leaving, or not even leaving the cohort, because we're continuing the experience now. And as we continue to flesh out what this looks like, we're going to keep bringing more and more, not only value, but really a sense of ascension, where we get to move beyond the norm and get to move beyond just playing games around being a professional and being an entrepreneur, and really get to the root of who we are and have that being expressed. So Veronica and Isaiah, thank you for being here. If you don't mind, let's go with the lady first. Isaiah and Veronica, share a little bit about just where you are and who you are, and then we'll have Isaiah do that just to give some context, and then we'll dive into what Ascend was and is like for you. Is that
Okay.
cool?
Yep, sounds good. Hi, everyone. My name is Veronica Hamilton. In the Kansas City area, I work at Evergy, of course, and I'm a digital product manager.
Yeah, and then Isaiah Watry. I also work at Evergy as a town development program manager, and I was a part of the Ascend cohort a couple of years ago. So, or last year. I think was it. Has it been 2 years already?
Almost.
Time flies. It's crazy.
So I'm getting ready to put both of y'all on the spot real quick, because when you introduce yourself, you talk about your role in your organization. But one of the first things that we actually dove into, or that we opened up, I'll say, is about who you really are. When you first agreed or signed up to take part in the Ascend cohort, what did you expect your experience to be? And let me just start there. What did you expect your experience to be? This will be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just popcorn now. We don't have to go in order. Just go off of inspiration.
Yeah, I can kick us off. To be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect. At the time, one of our leaders at Evergy approached me about the opportunity. And so I hadn't heard of it before. So I did some digging. I went to one of the early on information sessions, I think. And that's really the first time I really got to see and hear both Craig and Don kind of share more information about it. And from that initial introduction, I was interested. I was, at the time, I had just moved to Kansas City in 2020. And so still not really familiar with the Kansas City area and looking for other opportunities to be more connected. And like on a personal level, I felt like I kind of hit a wall with my career. So trying to figure out what I could do there. So I saw it as an opportunity. It felt like the right timing. And so I went into it with an open mind, not really knowing what I would get out of it, but knowing that it could be a step in the right direction for me. So fast forward from then to completing it, I could not have expected it to be what it was. I think the fellowship was something that was completely unexpected for me. I expected to get some pointers or some tips on things I can do for my role, but I think a lot of what we did was around fellowship, lifting each other up. There were a lot of times where we just pushed some chairs together in a circle and we just had a conversation, and the development kind of flowed from there. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I would have pictured it being like that, but I'm happy with what it turned out to be.
Oh, thank you, Isaiah. Veronica?
Yeah, I'd say just honestly, it wasn't what I expected either. So I didn't know what to expect. I was asked about it and I was very hesitant, to be honest. I I was like, yeah, I had an expectation from previous experiences of what I thought this was going to be. And I kind of thought it was going to be people gathering and talking about problems, but not talking about solutions. And again, that just had been my experience in the past. And I went on the website, I read online, and I was like, I don't really know. But quite honestly, the person that shared it with me, we have a great relationship, and their opinion and perspective means a lot to me. And it does in the company as well. And so I decided to just try it out. And it wasn't what I expected at all. Like Isaiah said, I could not believe actually how the program was and how transformative it is. So I'm really glad that I took the chance.
Yeah.
Definitely not what I expected.
So this is the thing that I love. Neither one of you had any anticipation for what it would be, even though you looked at information and you talked to a couple people. But what was it that actually took you over the hump of being like, I don't really know what this is about, but I'm going to give it a shot? For you, Veronica, you said it was somebody that you trusted that was kind of pushing you toward it. And so was that really the deciding factor for you, or can you point to something else that you felt was kind of helping you lean in instead of the opposite direction?
Yeah. Honestly, for myself as well, I'm always interested in growing in personal transformation. Those are definitely things that are mentioned on the website. You always have in the back of your head, like, can people really deliver on it? I do a lot of that on my own. So I also was like, oh, this is going to be, and I thought too, probably just heavily focused on like professional development, which sometimes can get boring to me because there's a lot of that going around. And so I would say even there was just, I don't know. I was open to opportunity, I'll say. Yeah.
So it was that internal barometer that you were thinking, this is an opportunity, and you being open to opportunity and having that other little nudge from somebody you trusted and appreciated helped you move forward instead of like, I'm good, right?
Yeah.
Isaiah, could you identify anything for yourself that might have been that, because you said that you were at a place where there was, I don't know if you used the word stagnation, but there was just a place of, in your career, you just didn't really know where to move or how to move. So what was it that moved you into even just exploring that this was something that might be for you?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason. So it's an opportunity that was presented to me. I knew it'd be a time commitment, but I thought that with where I was and how I was stuck, I needed to do something different. There needed to be a change. And then from, I think, digging in as well and exploring what it was, learning more information about it. I think one of the sticking points that really stuck with me was even like the financial opportunities and the information that's given there.
Yeah.
I knew I needed help there, but then also, again, connection was a big thing for me. So the ability to be able to connect with others, to create a sense of fellowship and kind of work with those in the Kansas City, like metro area, I think was a big like sticking point and driver for me. So all those things, right? So financial, ability to make connections, and then feeling, like you said, kind of stagnant and needing a push in the right direction and thinking this could be it.
Yeah. And this was something. Wasn't quite sure what it is, but it was something that was placed in front of you, believing that things happen for a reason.
Yep.
Veronica, you talked about the trust of your person in your organization that moved you toward it. These are all things that are actually the elements that we use to make decisions. But when we come to quote unquote professional development, like you said, Veronica, there's a big area that feels like it's just kind of fluff or just kind of boring, like you said. And I think you're alluding to the fact that this was neither one of those. And so for people who may see this, You said transformative, and I would say that's a great word to describe what happened or what the experience generally is. But Isaiah, is there one word that you would use to maybe describe the experience for you? Because you had some pretty significant outcomes from
Yeah.
or during the process.
I don't know if I'd use a specific word. I can use a phrase like mindset shift or a shift of mindset.
Okay.
I think a lot of times with courses like, or not even, I'll say courses with programs or opportunities like this, you can expect to go in and someone hands you a book with all the answers. But I think there was a big challenge for me during my time in the course was for me to come up with my own way of proceeding forward and kind of, like you said at the beginning, like looking internal and saying, okay, what do I want? So not waiting for people to bring things to me, but figuring out what I want and then what steps am I willing to take in order to get to where I want to grow into or what I want to be.
Yeah. Awesome. And I want to use that as a launch pad for this idea that when we are looking to grow our careers or looking to grow our businesses or looking to grow ourselves, even the tendency is to look for others to have the answers for us, right? We think that somebody outside of us actually has an answer that is going to be the key. But what both of you are alluding to is that the work that we do in the Ascend program and the Ascend cohort is much more integral. It's much more about, all right, really getting reacquainted with what it is that is important to you and it's actually aligned with who you are rather than trying to fit into the mold of someone else. And so for leaders of organizations who might see this, we actually had when we've been sharing that we're doing this next cohort for the last several weeks now. And I ran into the director of an organization that heard some things that kind of tickled their ear and wanted to get more information to see if it would be good for their team. And they asked me a question that was very interesting is that, and I didn't even remember saying anything like this, but it was why would I put somebody through a program that they might not want to work for me anymore after they go through? And I asked them a question like, why would you want somebody to work with you or work for you that's not aligned with your work? Because often that's what we do. We get into positions and we get into places that we think we're supposed to fit into or we're supposed to do. And instead, we've neglected ourselves and neglected looking at what's aligned. And so that's what I hear you all saying is that even though I didn't know what to expect when I arrived, there was something that was just aligned with the place in my journey that I am in my own development, in my own career, in my own financial development, every aspect of who I am and not just one little piece. And so speak to that just for a moment. You didn't know what to expect. You took a leap of faith anyway. And then when you got into the cohort, when you got into the experience, what was it like? Oh goodness. I know you guys know why I'm laughing, but yeah, help the people who wouldn't have any clue understand some of what is in store for them if they should choose to take a leap of faith and move into what this experience is.
I'll honestly go first. I think so many things come to mind. And I think first I want to talk about what you just mentioned, which is for me going into professional development courses or programs, et cetera, like they tend to be what I would call superficial. And like Isaiah said, you typically get like a list of like tips and tricks, or here's how you should, here's the exact answer to the problem that you have. And it just doesn't land or stick typically because it is from someone else, from their perspective and like their own wisdom, right? And maybe that works for some people, but ultimately like doesn't align necessarily with every individual person and circumstance. And so what I feel like makes this program really transformative is the focus on like your own wisdom and, like you said, like what is it that you actually want and does this align, and that inner reflection. So that's been extremely beautiful for me and really powerful. And like I said, that's actually made the information stick. And you can't cover every scenario. Like we didn't try to do that. We didn't try to cover every scenario like a problem like at a workplace to solve and be given a, you know, textbook answer. There was more of like internal reflection on,
Mhm.
okay, here's some questions like, how would you respond to this, you know? So that was extremely important to me, and why I love this program and would tout it like every day of my life for anyone. Also, like Isaiah's mentioned, like the community that you build, we go deep in this. So if you wanna be in something and you wanna come out the same, like this is not for you, I guarantee it. This is something where you're gonna build relationships with people that you did not expect. You're gonna find commonalities with people that, you know, maybe you thought for a moment like you had them, but there even further deeper layers. And that's where the real work happens.
Mm.
And also like, you know, it's not all hard work. There's also a lot of laughter and fun as well. So I do want to mention that. But for me, it was really the personal transformation and the tools that were shared we can implement ourselves that, and they work in a way that aligns with us. So that was my experience.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm going to interject right here real quick before you share your piece, Isaiah. You saying that if you want something where you're going to leave the same way you came, this is not for you. This is not for you. Do not sign up for Ascend if you're looking for the same old thing to be the same afterwards, because who you are is centered to what we work through. And yet you'll discover some other aspects or rediscover some things that actually empower you to do either better work, bigger work, or in the results of that. Because when you're bringing more of yourself to the table, there's more that gets reciprocated. And as a Black professional, as a Black founder in a predominantly white world, which is generally what this is. And so, for any organization, folks that are out there, this is just the realness of what we experience. And in today's climate, this kind of talk might seem a little bit weird or quote unquote divisive. It's not, it's actually more integrating, because people who show up as themselves get to be more fully present than if they're trying to protect themselves in an environment they feel threatened in. And so you getting to the point where you are fully or more fully accepting of yourself and more courageous in showing up as yourself is some of the elements that we get to touch on and move toward. And yes, a lot of it is deep and a lot of it is also very light, and you'll get the full spectrum of what it means to be a human being inside of your work, as well as knowing some other dimensions of what your work could look like even in the same organization or in the same role. And so to that point, Isaiah, I'd love for you to share some of what your experience was like and how you feel like you benefited most during the time that you were in the Ascend cohort.
Yeah, I think the greatest thing for me being, I think my assumptions were challenged quite a bit. And I say that in not a threatening way, or like I didn't feel insulted, but just like the way I looked at a situation or the way I looked at my work, it was questioned, which is good. It's healthy. And it was from an angle that I maybe hadn't thought of. Kind of going back to our point of thinking that this is just the way things are, or you know, A plus B equals C or whatever. There's another way of looking at it. And so making those things that I had already imagined in my head as just the way things are and kind of challenging those ideas. I think we did that in a very healthy way, which helped me kind of giving a little bit of context for me in my role. I wasn't in a role necessarily that I was okay at it, but I didn't enjoy it personally. And I thought it was just part of the plan. It was just part of the process. It's something that I had to stay in. And that assumption was challenged. And it made me take a deeper look into what I'm doing, what I'm working on, but also what I want. And then it allowed me to really push and advocate for what I do want. And it ended up helping me kind of land into the role that I'm in now, where I feel like I am thriving. And so, but I feel like it was mindset shift for me. It was an opportunity for me to reevaluate my assumptions. And then also that push and support from the group really helped me to kind of go back to my organization and advocate for myself. So not necessarily changing organizations for me personally, but changing roles, right? And being a role that I feel like I could really thrive in. So Don, when you say that, I resonate with that quite a bit.
Yeah. For you to be able to open up your view of what was possible within the same organization and allow yourself to actually not just advocate for, but courageously move into another position. It's like, what else is there? Like you were in a position where you felt like it was just part of the part of the tax you got to pay for being in an organization. I got to do something that I don't like. Okay. And then once that was actually taken out of the isolation of your own thinking and assumptions and put into a space where we could actually look at it and you could get it mirrored back to you in a way that shifted how you saw it, that opened up the possibility for you to actually move into a place where you got a promotion or a switch in your role that benefited you in more ways than one, right?
Absolutely.
So getting out of isolation is one of the big elements that we've seen people benefit from the most. As a Black professional, even as a Black entrepreneur, in, again, a predominantly white environment, which statistically that's just what it is, unless you are in a majority Black microcosm of a place in America, you are, quote unquote, the minority, numbers wise. And to get out of the sense of isolation and into collaboration with others who are like-minded, like-hearted. And actually, you said that, Veronica, but there's also a lot of differences. There's a lot of diversity within the group that some people do like this a little bit. And that's the part that when you get your assumptions challenged, you get to come out. It's iron sharpening iron, as one of the adages go, right? And so I love that you all are expressing this, because it's one thing for one of us to say it, but for you to be here and showing it is another big deal. But that's the principle, is getting out of isolation and into collaboration. And for Black people, this is one of the biggest challenges that I've seen that we have, because for whatever reason, we believe we got to just have everything on our shoulders and do it all ourselves. And the truth is actually much different. And so now that we've gotten, you went through the experience and you're a little bit out of it, can you share any, not necessarily just any benefit, but any, actually, yeah, I want to hear what you feel is a benefit from having been in the cohort post the time that you've been in it. And with a little caveat, I want you to also consider, when the other is talking, what's a reason that you would maybe be reluctant to go into this kind of experience again? Because I want to be really transparent with people about what, like, this ain't a cakewalk. This ain't something for you to just come in and just blindly or just, zone out. No, it costs, and not just monetary cost to participate. It has a cost for you to actually be in the game. And you alluded to it before, Veronica, when you said, you come in, if you want to be the same as when you leave as when you came in, this ain't for you. But what's some other reason that you might have, in addition to what you experienced post your experience? So those are two things, and then we'll close with that. So big order, but y'all are big enough to handle it, obviously. And so just share freely.
So the benefit for me, well, a lot of benefits, but I think the biggest one, kind of like Isaiah talked about, is just having your assumptions challenged. So one of the things we talked about specifically that I'll always remember is, if you could, like, if you come up against a problem and it was just posed to us, like, if you could actually complete this task or do X, Y, and Z, feeling joy and peace, like, how could that be done? And so it's funny, but there's so many times I use this at work, right? So I'll get an email and I'm stressed or upset or whatever the deal is from it. And before I would just react really, or just think like, oh, I'm gonna like type this out. And then I'm like, okay, hold on. If this could actually go easily, like if I could feel joy and peace, even though I'm stressed out right now, like what would that look like? Like, is it, write out the crazy email first and don't send it? Is it like, go put this in Copilot? Is it just maybe I go have a conversation with this person, or also just reflect on where they're coming from? It's just opened up so many possibilities. So we talk about like the level of mind, and I don't mean to give everything away, but like the level of mind.
That ain't everything. That's just a taste. So talk your talk.
It's so important though. And it's just shifted a lot for me, but the level of mind that you come into originally, like starting in this, and even just how I've been flowing at work was very different than how I left. Like we talk about like getting that 1,000-foot view and taking a moment to actually have it. And then you look at the problem and it's so much smaller. And like I said, there's so many other possibilities available to you. And I have personally experienced more joy and peace at work, and not just at work, even in my daily life, from just taking a moment and reflecting on that. Like, okay, if this could go more easily and I don't have to be in a stressed out state, what does that look like? So I love that. And then as far as a reason to be reluctant to join this, oh man, well, I'll say the biggest one is we all have lived our lives in a certain way, and we have beliefs and assumptions, and we have this idea of who we are. And I don't think we realize until we come up against or to come into something like this that who we think we are is largely just been rehearsed, right? Like it's experiences that we've had and we believe that to be us. And also there's a big sense of safety in holding on to that identity of like, no, this is how it's always been, and this is how this person has treated me, or this is what X, Y, and Z. And the truth is that in this program, you get questioned on those assumptions and those beliefs, and the beliefs that you hold about other people. And you honestly have to confront yourself. So I would say that's a big reason for reluctance, because I don't think a lot of people like to do that. But yeah, you have to look at yourself and say, how have I played into this? Or what belief am I holding on to that maybe even if it's true, like if it's holding me back and not serving me from getting to where I want to be, like, can I let go of this? And so there is a ego death that can happen if you allow it. And it doesn't feel great all the time. It can lead to great things, but it doesn't feel great. And I will say what makes it easier is honestly the community that you build in this, and the sense of like, honestly, like love and trust that gets built in this, to be able to openly reflect on who you think you are, and see who you could be. So
Beautiful.
that's a reason to be reluctant.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I love the imagery that you gave, getting the 1,000-foot view or 10,000-foot view, and that when you ascend to those heights, figuratively speaking, those problems that you thought were like this big, they seem like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Isaiah, take us out, bro.
Yes.
You know the questions. Speak from the heart.
Yeah, I think for me, so there's two different tracks, right? So there's the professional and then the founders track. But I think when I think about what has happened for me since being a part of the program and then where I am now, we talked a lot about there's differences between the two tracks, yes, but
And we've integrated those, just FYI.
Okay, cool. That makes perfect sense, because to that point, really, even in a professional setting, or really if you work in a corporate space, you are still an entrepreneur. You're still advocating for yourself. And you're still trying to see what's next and really pushing that forward. And so me being able to take that mindset into a professional setting, where at first I thought this is just the way things are, someone else is kind of deciding my pathway for me, and then taking charge of it myself, I'm able to do very different things, really advocate for myself behind those closed doors, and really push that messaging forward. So I think that's something I'm able to carry into every situation now, how I approach my work, how I approach the work I want to do in the future. I'm able to be a lot more, I'll use the word aggressive, but I'm able to get after it a little bit more. And so I feel confident about that. So I think a reason why someone would maybe be a little hesitant to join, I would agree with what Veronica said, but you have to have an open mind. And so if you're not willing to have an open mind coming into this, it'll be challenging. I think naturally we put our dukes up. So we are defensive. We have guardrails up for the things that we believe. I don't know whether it came in conversation from one of our sessions, but this idea of feelings versus facts, I think, was really a sticking point for me. I feel a lot of things. I feel like this person may be impacting me negatively, but taking a step back and saying, is this a fact? Do I know this to be true? So being able to ask yourself that question when approaching situations, and even in that dialogue, I think we talked about, Don, like being able to hear someone who may have a way different perspective than you, being willing to have that dialogue and that conversation, and being willing to do it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to be open, willing to have those conversations, willing to have your feelings questioned versus whether it's a fact or not, I think you'd be in a good place. But if you have a hard time doing that, then I think it could be a little bit more challenging for you.
Dope. And thank y'all so much. I greatly appreciate your transparency, your energy, your love. And I guess we're going to bring Craig back up. The last thing I want to say is that when we look at what it means to ascend, the reason why we call this program Ascend, obviously it's about moving to new heights. It's about gaining higher perspective. It's about growing financially, mentally, all the ways. And what you just alluded to, Isaiah, it's about, for Black people, for Black professionals, for Black entrepreneurs, for Black creatives, wherever you are in your journey, it's about releasing the heavy weights that feel like they hold you down so that you can rise up. And that has a lot to do with these ideas that we hold about who we are and what we're capable of and what the world is like, that you really don't have to keep that same thing if you want to ascend. And so for those of you who are watching or will see this at any time, look inside yourself. If this is something that resonates with you at all, to be able to move beyond where you are, but to release yourself into that. The Ascend program is for you. And if you're somebody who is wanting to hold on to an old way, yet say that you want to do other things, this is not. And so this is a call out to anybody who's ready to rise in a way that doesn't involve just fighting, but it involves you being who you are fully. And so, Craig, I'm going to turn it back over to you. And yeah.
No, yeah, man. I just now it's just talking about the investment, and we talk a lot about what it really takes to be a part of this program.
Mhm.
And we have opportunities for those who uh cannot bid in that full investment through Evergy. We have scholarships available, we have payment plans available, and we also have ways for you to ask your employer for this opportunity to actually be counted towards a professional development budget if you have that available.
Mhm.
So we just ask you all just to sign up, scan the QR code. And if you have more questions, feel free to email myself, and we'll be happy to be able to answer all the questions that you have. But again, most of all, this is not just an investment just that's going to us, but this is going into you coming into a community that is built to be able to last forever time. Don, you got any thoughts?
Yeah. For people who, if you are a team leader, if you're a decision maker in your organization and you're looking at how can I support um, my Black team members, maybe there's somebody who you see has some great potential, who is maybe getting some stuck points and you can't quite figure out how to coach them into it. This experience is for that person who is on a trajectory to move up in your organization, or is on a trajectory to contribute to your organization in a bigger way, for them to actually do it without it being something that causes them to feel like they don't necessarily fit in. This is about people taking full accountability of who they are and investing in the places that they're in. And so if you're somebody who makes those decisions for professional development for your people, and you have some folks who fit the bill for this, and they are desiring for more growth, consider this. Have them apply, and let's work together to really empower the Black professionals in Kansas City and the Black entrepreneurs and founders in Kansas City to show up fully as themselves, to be able to do their best work and contribute their best work for themselves and for your organization.
Yep. So just kind of give you all a little bit of information about the structure and how we're going to do our calendar for this. Our first day is going to be on September 3rd is when we'll have our first course. So applications are open until the week prior. We will then let those applicants know in time as applications come in. once they are accepted and get you onboarded into the platform. From there, we will be going every Wednesday in person and then Friday virtually. And then we'll go every other week for 10 weeks. And so, again, we'll be posting the schedule on our website, be sending out more information via email. And then also my email is available as well as the email on the screen for you all to get connected with us. So I really appreciate everybody spending some time on their Monday night with us. And if this is a recording, again, just message us or give us a comment and we'll be happy to answer any of those questions. Thanks a lot, everyone.